Hello woolly thrill seekers, welcome to my woolly PhD. My name is Liz Scarf and this is a weekly vlog about what I'm currently learning and making in my anthropology PhD all about wool. You can find an overview of the project in the introductory video, but I'll just jump into this week. And I'm saying this week, I am 2 days late for this week, and I've been so busy with submissions and deadlines that I part forgot and then part ran out of time. Things should, I say, ease up. Does a PhD ever ease up? I'm not sure, so we'll see. But I think things should ease up a little by the end of this week, touch wood, so hopefully that will be nice. But one thing I have been thinking about this week is this idea of the tourist gaze. Now this is like, bear with me, it's not directly starting about wool, but it gets there. So like most of the videos so far, I don't know much about this concept yet. So I have more questions than I do sort of explanations or definitions. But one thing I have been reading a bit of is a chapter called Cultural Tourism, Aspects of Authenticity and Commodification by Nicola MacLeod in a book called, what's called? Cultural Tourism in a Changing World. So now there is also a lot, well, I say a lot, quite a bit published about Iceland and tourism. I'm not going to list all the things I've found, but because I'm also not across it yet, so I don't want to mention things I haven't actually read yet. But if you're interested in the role of tourism or the intersection of kind of tourism and culture, just search Iceland and tourism in Google Scholar and you'll find quite a bit of really interesting work. So back to the tourist gaze. So basically the idea as I understand it so far is that it's a way to think about how the expectations of tourists, that tourists have about a culture, how they shape that culture and how they are also shaped by the culture, and how this dynamic creates opportunities and problems within those cultures. And I mean, if you're a little bit like me, sort of a like left-leaning progressive kind of thing, we tend to have like a knee-jerk reaction of tourism in cultures where we just kind of go, oh, it's bad because it's changing cultures or having these negative impacts. And of course tourism changes cultures. All cultures are always changing and should be always changing. That's the point. If your culture doesn't change, I think it just kind of like dies out maybe. They have to evolve and respond. And it's always been like that. It's not just a product of colonialism, right? So just this also looking for, of course, tourism has detrimental impacts on cultures, and it also creates opportunities that can support cultures with their own aspirations. And so thinking about and letting ourselves think about this as quite complex, and that also who gets to judge whether the impacts are good or bad, right? Obviously, people in the culture really should be the people making the call on that. Anyway, so really thinking about it more, it's that over time, any destination that manages to attract tourists usually will get a reputation for something, right? It's another way to say it gets stereotyped, which is that the complexities and the diversities and the nuance of the culture are kind of erased. And there's like a narrative that's kind of reinforced and told that is interesting and appealing. It's exoticized or fetishized in some ways, and people are like, oh, I want to go there for this kind of experience, it's going to be XYZ, right? So we construct an idea based on our, I guess our own aspirations or interests, and then we go somewhere and we want the place to meet the expectations. Like, it'll be a bad holiday if we don't get that expectation met. Potentially, right? Not only, it's often, well, sometimes we're also going hoping to be surprised and to check our assumptions or the stereotypes that we have sort of taken in from media and other sources. So like here in Australia, apparently it's really dangerous to live here because of all the killer animals, despite the fact that they account for a tiny number of deaths in this country. And no, they are not all hapless tourists. It's actually locals, and there's not that many. Right? So we're an increasingly urbanised country, and many of us live a long way from the sort of murderous homicidal fauna. But tourism associations have played a part in reinforcing this image, and they use it to attract tourists. They love to promote the outback, desert living as like authentic Australia, and these beautiful wild places, nature parks and experiences where you can see all these kind of hazardous critters up close but not too close. And so in that way we kind of will try to meet the tourist gaze, but also try to generate it, saying, yeah, it's like really cool here, it's like a bit edgy, dangerous, and like it's really, we're all like really country, and it's really, it's cute, right? And people are coming for like a slightly edgy, dangerous experience of nature. Not everybody, of course, I'm generalizing too, right? But this is just like to kind of explain the concept. So we meet this tourist gaze in order to earn money from tourism, but it also must impact our culture in some way, like our cultural identity in some way too, right? Like personally, I love the idea that I am either super lucky or have some kind of super power and some kind of like nature savviness or something to have survived in this country into middle age. Like, that's a really cool, it's a great idea, right? I don't think it's true, but to be fair, I have had some close calls with some dangerous snakes, so it's not all rubbish. But yes, complicated. Now, this is a really big deal in Iceland, where I'm going to be doing my field work. So their tourism industry is massive these days, and really underwent a very sort of rapid growth in the past decade or so. Probably two. It's probably started in the 2000s, 2010-ish. And the tourist gaze is a big expectation, right? Tourists are full of awe and wonder about Iceland before getting there. I don't know what happens when they get there, how much that changes, but it creates a pressure in Iceland to meet that tourist gaze and those expectations. And this pressure creates opportunities and problems in Iceland too, right? And the opportunity is not just to earn income from tourism, but also to engage more in the global arena, which itself has pros and cons as well. So I think from the reading and understanding I have so far, there's like really diverse narratives in Iceland about the role of tourism and the impact and contribution, and whether these are perceived as kind of positive or negative or mixed or complicated. So I'm really interested in this, but what I am particularly interested in, of course, is how Icelandic wool is entangled in this tourist gaze and how it mediates processes of globalization and engagement with the rest of the world, right? Like, I think Icelandic wool is a really, like, it's a tourism attractor, and it's an actor very active actor in tourism, right? Like, there's been a sharp increase in the number of companies doing knitting-based tours in Iceland, and the ways in which people are exporting and marketing or re-narrating their wool products, I think, is in part to meet tourist gaze. For a world with a preference for soft textured wools, that Icelandic wool has somehow developed such a following. I think this needs further investigation. I think it's something is very clever is going on there, and I think there are probably quite a few wool industries, certainly in Northern Europe, who might be really interested in how is it that Icelanders are making this work. But even in my scoping work already, I'm hearing some really interesting stories about how wool and stories about wool are engaged in sort of meeting this tourist gaze. And really my whole PhD could be about wool and tourism in Iceland. It's super fascinating. I don't think it will go in that direction, but let's see. It might be like a little side quest thing, even if it doesn't make it into the final thesis. But I do think I need to start some kind of documentation about my predictions on the direction the research will take, right? So at the moment, enchantment is at the top of my list, with connection to place, tourism, craft economies and gender. Like, they're all contenders at the moment, but let's see what happens. Do not tell me if you start a betting pool on this. It's a fun idea. Anyway, that's what I've been thinking about, but still don't know much about. It's kind of very liberating to kind of say, hey, here's this thing, but I don't really know much, but hey, what do you reckon? So yeah, what do you reckon? I'm thinking about particularly any of you who, like me, have kind of gone, oh, Iceland, knitting, yeah, like it's a bucket list destination for a lot of knitters. Not sure about crocheters. Tell me if you're a crocheter and you're like, you've got Iceland on your list. But yeah, like it's a bucket list destination. It's like got some kind of allure when it comes to wool, and I'm curious as to why that is. What is it that we see about Iceland? What is kind of directed to our gaze to kind of tempt us to trigger the tourist gaze in a particular way? So yeah, if you have longings for woolly adventures in Iceland like I do, why? What is it you think it will be like? I'm super interested. I know one of the things that appeals to me is just I keep hearing about how everyone knits all the time everywhere, and I'm interested to see that because when I see photos of Iceland online, I don't see a lot of that. So, but I'm really interested to see if that's the case, because certainly here in Australia we don't knit everywhere all the time, and it's a bit of a thing to like knit in a meeting or something. So whereas I hear it's not the case in Iceland. If you've been to Iceland and you're like, yeah, everyone knits everywhere, that'd be great. I mean, say everyone, I think it's mostly women. But yeah, anyway, okay, I will be able to report back on this once I'm in Iceland. But what have I been making here? Well, for people who've been watching for a while, you might have guessed, I am wearing my first fleece to garment make, and I finished it several weeks ago, but I haven't been able to show you until now because it's been in Canberra while I've been in Melbourne. But all the blocking is finished. Here it is in all its glory. It's a pretty good fit. There's probably a few things I would change about it. This is a modified Nordwind vest. I can't remember her name in the moment, Daniella. I will put it in the notes. In the original one, I think there's generally more positive ease. I think I might have been a bit worried about how much wool I had. I've got stacks left. And there's cables usually down the side, which I left out because the wool's so dark. I don't think they'll show up. And I was also just like, I've got a deadline for this. And I was like, oh, the cables are going to take me extra time and I'm going to be a bit about it. So anyway, that's this. I love it hard. Should I have made it a little bit longer? Yes, I should have. Will I undo the binding and knit some extra ribbing? No, I won't. I'm happy enough with this. So that's exciting, and it is so warm. This is Corriedale fleece from Cloverleaf Corriedale Stud, which I have just heard this past week are transitioning after winning all the prizes for the best Corriedale fleeces all around the country. They are now moving to become a Romney stud because Romney's a more threatened breed, and Rennell really wants to support kind of the threatened breeds, and so they're going into Romney, which is exciting. I'm really, I think she's really great sheep farmer, and so yeah, really looking forward to seeing and getting to experience her Romney fleeces at some point. Anyway, yeah, it's lovely and warm. It's pretty soft. It's pretty soft. So I feel it. It's not as scratchy as the other vest I have from some Hebridean wool, but yeah, it's nice. Anyway, I finished the fingerless, this is the free Fingerless Mittens Pattern by Hiris Makes, and this is in some hand spun I made from roving from Kathy's Fibres, and they're just still blocking. I think they're still like a tiny bit wet on the inside, but these are for my daughter, and I'm going to pop them in the post to her later this week once they're all dried. That was good. That was a really easy pattern. It's my first mittens, my first kind of like thumb thing. And yeah, they were pretty easy. I recommend that pattern and love Kathy's Fibres stuff. I have also gotten to do some more rows, not a lot more, on this. This is a Mussleburgh beanie by Ysolda Teague. And I've made a few of these, and the light's actually working. You can see the stripes. I'm making this for my partner in a lovely merino possum that I got in New Zealand. It's a recycled merino fibre with possum, and yeah, that's coming along well. They're pretty easy peasy, very popular pattern, with good reason. I also have got to return to something I've been started yonks ago. This, I love this so much. It's a mitten, a fingerless mitten, and this is the Victoria Mitts by Eleanor Mortensen. And they're a bit fiddly, of course, because doing colour work on needles like this, it's I don't love the gap bits. I'm not quite good at that yet. But anyway, I am loving these mittens a lot, and so I'm very happy to get to work on those again. So that's what I have been making this week. Yeah, okay, that's it. I will be back hopefully on time, as I say, next week, later this week. And yeah, thanks for watching. Yeah, and please, again, let me know if you are kind of captivated by Iceland in some kind of woolly way. Have a think and see if you know why it is, and let me know. I'm keen to understand that. Okay, thanks everyone, bye.